Hi everybody. This video is to help AP Statistics students when using their calculator in the topic linear regression. So I've already started a new document with a list and spreadsheet on it, and I have a list of X value numbers, Y value numbers. I name my columns X's and Y's. I don't like to use a single letter like X or Y because that can cause a conflict when you're doing other things in the calculator. So if you want to follow along and see if you get the same numbers that I do, press pause and construct this spreadsheet. So the first thing we need to do is the regression. We need a new page, so press Control, Doc, and we just want a simple calculator. From here, press Menu, Statistics, Stat Calculations, and Linear Regression, y equals mx plus b. You have to choose your list. You can type the names of your columns or use the drop-down menu. Remember, we named these X's and Y's. In this third box, it's always a good idea to save your regression equation in one of the built-in functions in your calculator. Since this is a new document, the default is function F1. So when we want to find some predicted values, we don't have to type the regression equation again. It's already stored for us. Press OK, and we have our linear regression. So the equation of the regression line is y hat equals negative 4.48x plus 75.63. Notice that I said y hat. That's the letter that we use for predicted values. The letter y is for actual values, the observed values in our data. We also have the coefficient of determination and the correlation coefficient. Notice RESID, this stands for residuals. We have information stored in a list. This is done automatically in your calculator. So let's say you want to find the sum of the squared residuals, which is important if you're interested in why a regression line works the way it does. So if we want to find the sum of the squared residuals, press Menu, go to Statistics, Stat Calculations, and this time one variable statistics. We're going to use a single list, the list of residuals that the calculator automatically made when we did our linear regression. Press OK. Now use the drop-down menu to choose your list, and you'll see we have, well, some lists that we didn't make. We have our X's and Y's, but when we did the linear regression, your calculator automatically made these lists. So stat.resid, that's the residuals. Pick that, and we're just going to do basic one variable statistics. So we've seen this before. We have the minimum residual, the median residual, the maximum residual. You won't be using those. It's this last line that's the interesting part. SSX. The SS stands for sum of squares. The X is just, well, we have a list of values. The calculator is calling them X's. So the sum of the squared residuals is 29.78. Now, let's do some other things with our regression equation to see how powerful the calculator is. Go back to your spreadsheet where we have our actual values, our X's and our Y's. What if you wanted to see the predicted values? Well, one way you could do it is kind of too much work. Let's say we wanted the predicted value for x equals 5. Well, you could go to the calculator. Remember, we stored that regression equation in F1, so we could give that the input value of 5. So we're plugging in x equals 5 to the regression equation, and we get 53.2. Here's a faster way you can do that. Go back to the spreadsheet. In a new column, go to the second row. What this will let you do is calculations with the entire list. You start with an equal sign. F1 is our regression equation. And for the argument to the function, name your list. So my list of x values is x's. That's what I typed. And notice it became bold. This is the calculator telling you that it understands you've typed something interesting. If you press enter, you have all of the predicted values for the observed x values in your data. So we can check to see Yeah, that was 53.2 when we plugged in x equals 5. We did it right here as well, but at the same time, we were able to plug in all of the y values. I'll give this a name, PRED, for predicted values. So that's one thing you can do with the calculator. Let's say you want to see all of the individual residuals. Remember that the formula for a residual is y minus y hat. That is the observed value minus the predicted value. And we have those. So in a new column, I'll type equals y's minus PRED. I'm taking the column with my y values, my actual values, and subtracting the predicted values, because that's the formula for a residual. Press enter, and I have all of the residuals. I'll name this column RESID. So, what else could we do? Remember, in the calculator screen, we found the sum of the squared residuals. It's 29.78. Let's check to make sure the calculator is correct. Of course it is, but let's see. The sum of the squared residuals. Let's calculate the residuals and square them. Press enter. So we took the RESID column and we squared it. So this is the sum, or sorry, this is a list of all of our squared residuals. Let me give this column a name, SQRESID, for squared residual. I can go back to the calculator screen and use the sum command to add up all of my squared residuals. Hopefully we get 27.78, or I'm going to have to restart this video. Yep, that's what we got. Now, if you ever need to calculate the sum of the squared residuals, just do what we did here. Use one variable statistics on the list of residuals that your calculator made automatically. But if you want to see all of them individually, realize that list and spreadsheets in your calculator is, well, not quite as powerful as Google Sheets or Excel, but it will do a lot. Anyway, hope this video helped. See you next time.